first question is like probably the most common question. And one of the reasons why people like hire coaches like myself to one-on-one, it's this question. Like, so you are not alone in this question. In fact, everybody in this group and everybody that runs a business has this question to a certain level. I'm struggling with workflow. How do I add the portal into my current system? So I'm going to step back, really kind of go like super high level. Like now, like we've all gone to outer space and we're looking at your business. Let's look at the theory kind of here on what's going on. So basically, if you ever heard me speak, you've heard me talk about baby steps. Because like my entire business, Lori's entire business, your entire business, if you would look to just dissect it, has not been in these massive waves of productivity that happen over like months. It's baby steps. You did a little bit every single day around nap time, around, you know, dinner, around your other job, around the million things that are in your life. And just over time, it creates this massive sustainable business. And this is where we're going with this, because I want you in 5 years to have the option to be sitting on a beach somewhere, managing your business on just a few hours a week if you want to, or anywhere you want, or in addition to something else you want to do, or doing some sort of passion project. But we have to figure out how to make your blog sustainable, continue making money while you're making progress. And so even though some of these things will sound a little silly at first, it's because that's the goal here. We're taking baby steps to that sustainable business that just works on its own. It's going to be magical. Well, it's going to be a lot of work that over years that gets you to that magic stage. So when you add something new into it, like the portal, the first few weeks of any addition, and this, like if you do the portal, or if you're learning something new, or you're adding a new task to your, like the first few weeks, it's going to be extra time on top of whatever you have already. So one of the things that's really I like to do is like when you say, okay, I'm going to like throw myself into the portal, I'm going to learn this new skill, or I'm going to learn this new thing, is try to figure out what can I take away of my day-to-day activity to make room for that. So you're not just like, okay, I have a full-time job and now I have a full-time learning job on top of that. So think about like, where can you carve out some time? And like the best way to carve out time is to carve out maybe 30 minutes, an hour a day over time. If that's not possible, then the second best would be to carve out a block of time, like maybe a Monday or maybe a Sunday afternoon or something like that. So you have a block of time that you can look at this. But I actually would rather have you think about a little bit every day, because that's what we're going to go with a lot of these other things. So in the first few weeks, think about how you can decrease some of your stuff so that you can add this extra thing, and then set a timer. If I've learned one thing from Lori Turk, it's that timers. Like I have all these timers on my phone.
Yay, I converted you to the dark side.
The dark side of the timer. So whether that be you set a timer for you to stop, or you set a 20 minutes, I'm going to work as much as I can in 20 minutes. It's incredible when you think, you're like, okay, I only have 20 minutes. Like instead of like going and putting a load of laundry in, sit down, you have 20 minutes. That's a lot of time if you're just going to concentrate 20 minutes. So throw yourself into the portal or whatever you're doing and just see how much you can get done in 20 minutes, and then stop when the timer goes off.
Yeah.
And you might need to like put a little note somewhere that says, this is where I was when I stopped, because when you come back, you will have slept probably by then. It might be different. All right. So then number two, I feel like the whole thing about the portal, and I'm going to take you through kind of an example of this in just a minute, is that I think the strength here is that you're going to see that your editorial calendar for both your blog and your social media can be improved and more efficient in your business using the portal. But realize that it takes time to master what you want to do and weed out the distractions, because as you've seen by all these portal pages that we've gone through, that you could also like dive into the portal and never come out. Like, that is not going to help your business.
No.
So you're going to need to figure out, and this is kind of when those first few weeks, when you're kind of mastering what is in there, how that means for your business, what's going to be the highest ROI for your business at the beginning, how it's going to help you. And then basically choosing kind of one thing to master. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, and then if you were my client, and several of you guys have been as far as one-on-one coaching, you have heard me yell at you in very strong terms that once you figure out what your strategy is, you've got to cut it in half. Okay. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to update 2 blog posts a day for the next month, I'm going to be like, yeah, let's cut that in half. Because realistically, 2 blog posts is a lot. Let's cut it in half. So, and when you're starting, you're going to cut your expectations in half or more, but at least by half. Most of you won't do it until you work yourself into a frenzy. And then you're like, okay, I had to cut it in half because I worked myself into a frenzy. So cut it in half, because at the beginning, this is hard. You don't know what you're doing. You haven't got all the skills. And the crazy thing is, like we're going to talk about in a minute, is that same amount of work in a month is going to take you half the time or a quarter of the time or 10% of the time. So that's why I'm saying that. Cut it in half, because we're going to get really good at it. And then you're going to be able to build up without even thinking about it. And then number 3, you've got to start thinking about your business, especially if you're a content creator, like we all are with blogs or social media, is you have to get off the content treadmill. And by the content treadmill, I mean, you know that thing where you get to your computer in the morning like, oh crap, what am I going to post today? Those words in your future organized business will never come out of your mouth, because we're going to create a system that you know exactly what you're posting today. In fact, you probably already have it scheduled, or you have it in process to just go out magically through the system that you've created. So, but you have to create that system for your business. So get off the treadmill. And how we're going to do that at the beginning is you're going to start working ahead. So you're going to carve out some time. You're going to work ahead to create this buffer of content by at least 2 weeks. And then you may not add anything to your work list until you're 2 weeks ahead on that. So you're going to, and you're going to prioritize what you're adding once you're 2 weeks ahead by what their income potential is based. Like, so you're going to choose those things at first by, oh, I can make more money doing this. I can make more money doing this. Down the road, when you have all these things in progress, you can start doing some of those more finesse things that may not make you money, but it's going to improve your blog or make your business more foundational. But here at first, let's make some impact with what we're doing. And then number 5, you're going to take a deep breath. You have time to do everything you want to do for your business, just not all today. Okay. We're going to be bloggers next year. We're going to be bloggers next year after that. So we can just quietly over time, take those baby steps to do that. But like, if we're super frantic and we're always overwhelmed by our surroundings and what our business, if your business is overwhelming to you, that is not sustainable over long term. And so we've got to get a grasp on that and take you to like weed out things to just the necessities, so that we can start building a sustainable business that doesn't run your life. So the most overlooked, super important point Holly wants to beat into your head without violence is you are the best CEO of your business because you know it is best. You know it best and care about it the most. The process of going through these steps will make you smarter and more skilled at the things that take you an hour today with practice will take you a tiny fraction of that time in the future, and you will be smarter then too. Okay, so that very long run-in sentence is basically like, just take it one step at a time. And then you'll look back a month from now and be like, oh my God, I'm so smart. That's so much smarter and faster at everything I do. So let's go through this just a second with an example using the portal. So what I did when I started the portal is I started, number 1, creating a blog editorial calendar. And I didn't start it for today. I started it a couple of weeks in advance because we want to go 2 weeks we want to work 2 weeks ahead.
That's
so
huge.
starting several weeks in the future, you're going to use the scheduled post to update portal page. And then you're going to set a timer. For me, it was 30 minutes, and work on it daily until you have a first draft for that, for a whole month, of kind of what your ideal editorial calendar is, maybe for next month, maybe for June, maybe for the middle of May into June right now. So number two, once you have that draft of the editorial calendar, realize it takes time to master what you want to do and identify the priority posts, because you're going to cut just everything else out and just do the priority posts, because we're cutting it in half. You like planned for way more than you can do. I promise you. I promise you. So then number three, you're going to start to update the old blog post to get 2 weeks ahead before you alter what you're publishing day to day. So once you get that buffer of content in ahead of time, that's going to give you time now to do the new posts you want to do, or do your extra social media and that kind of stuff. And then you're not going to add to your work list until you have 2 weeks ahead, and you can see how you can continue creating a buffer. For me, once I got 2 weeks ahead, then I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so amazing. I want a month ahead. And then like right now, I'm working myself into 3 months ahead on 3 different websites, because I want to sit on a beach and just want to do what I want to do, not necessarily like have to run and publish something or update something. So because I'm literally going to be on a beach for 3 weeks this summer, so because I planned for it. So that buffer is going to really depend on your comfort, where you are in your business, where you are in this journey, what makes you really happy inside when you look at how much you have to do and not to do. And then I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm going to realize I have time to do everything I want to do for my business, just not today. And there are things on Kids Activities blog that I should have done 3 months ago. But you know what? It's still moving. It's still going. It's still making good money. It's still supporting my family. And I will just put those things off to when I actually can do them in the future. So there's just always going to be those things. And so if running a business is just taking some clarity of just saying, what can I do today? How can I make this system sustainable and make it easier on myself in the future? And realize that I can't do it all today, and give yourself some grace over that. Lori, what do you want to add to that?
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think the biggest thing that you said is go ahead and start ahead, right? Don't start for today, because getting ahead will be really, really tough and impossible. The only other tip I have is, for me, the way I use my alarms is I don't only use it to, set a timer for 30 minutes to finish this task, but I also use it to start. So, for me, especially when I'm taking a course, I don't start it at my busiest time when I'm most productive. I usually have to do that for work and get I call it eat the frog, where I get my most important task done first. And so when I'm learning something new, I actually have time set aside where my brain is like really kind of creative, and I'm ready, for that experience. I drink a big glass of water, because that takes fight or flight. Your brain can't, I'm going to geek out, but when your brain actually can't, give you the chemicals that put you in fight or flight when you drink water. And so it's just a biohack that kind of gets your brain ready to learn something new. And so just set a timer to start, and that'll kind of, remind you of doing this. But I think it's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
So I'll add a second one to that. So I do the water hack too. And the reason for it, if you think about it, like you're physiologically, if like you're being attacked and your body's going into fight or flight, you're usually like, you think about, you get scared so much that you pee yourself or something like that. Your body is like trying to get rid of everything. So you can trick your body into being like, hey, no one's attacking me, by actually drinking a glass of water, because that's like literally the last thing you would do if you were being attacked by a dinosaur or something like that. The other thing that works really well, and this is one of the reasons why you think of calm settings as distance. Like you think of sitting on a beach, or you think of sitting in the mountains looking across that. Because the other thing that happens when you're in fight or flight is you focus in really close. Your eyesight gets really narrow and close to, to concentrate on whatever's being attacked. Well, sometimes we do that to ourselves by like focusing really close on your computer screen and that kind of stuff. Whereas if you can step back, go look like take your glass of water to the window and look out into whatever is out your front porch or back porch, to give yourself that depth where your body is like, oh, there's no one attacking me. Like, we're good now. Because it's like, it's a secondary level to that.
Well, and it's important when you're learning something new. I think I didn't realize that the portal kind of triggers a lot of limited beliefs in with our content and with our data and in our business as entrepreneurs. And so that kind of opens your mind and makes things a little easier.
Yes. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I think in the chat there were just comments of like, oh yes, I needed to hear that.
Okay.